Jnana-timirandasya Gyananjana-shalakaya Chakshur-nitanyena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Dandavat pranams to all the assembled Vaishnavas, sincere seekers. Well, I'm going to open up the floor if anyone wants to bring up a topic for today. And we're lucky to have Suhasini with us, so we also love to hear from her on any topic that comes up. And Gangalila also joined us, a beautiful group today from all over the world.
Dandavat.
Dandavat, Gangalila.
You're still in Kerala?
Yeah, I have a few more days. I'll leave to Govardhan on Wednesday, next Wednesday.
Very nice.
Just under a week.
Thank you for doing this.
Oh, thank you all.
like last week, like I can't stay on like last week, but I won't be having video or mic because I have to work in like 15 minutes.
Oh, that's too bad.
But
This time
I
doesn't work for
listen.
you.
No, but I listen, but I have to do something. I have to work. Thank you.
Oh, thanks for joining despite your busy schedule. Anyone have anything? Maybe Kirtida or Robert? Okay, here's Robert. Yes, Robert, we did cover that topic. 2 weeks ago, and you came in late that day. We did discuss it somewhat extensively. The topic of chanting before initiation. We did discuss it and we did record it, but there was a problem that day. The internet cut out, and then the recording got split into two. And those two recordings are with Ananda Krishna in Govardhan. It's very complicated. One half is on the cloud, half is on Ananda Krishna's hard drive, and he's in Govardhan and the internet's not working. So we're still trying to work it out. But we can go over it briefly again, just in summary, and as soon as that's uploaded, I'll share the link with you. But briefly, maybe you can say something, because I already spoke about it, so maybe it'd be nice to hear from you. He asked a question before, Robert, about like what's the value of chanting before initiation? Because we always hear about, you have to have a guru, that the real process begins after initiation. But that doesn't mean that it's meaningless before initiation. So, do you want to say anything? Okay. Sebastian is humbly declining. Well, I'll just say the simplest answer, most concise answer is that, but we did speak more on it, which we'll get to you later, is there's this one statement, I think maybe you can say where it is in the Upanishad somewhere. It's quoted in Sharanagati, Srila Sridhar Maharaj's edition, that Shavak-Shamalam Prapadye, Shavalam Shavalak Prapadye, like that by the grace, literally means by the grace of black, we surrender to white, and by the grace of white, we surrender to black. And of course, that can be interpreted in different ways, but the way in which our gurus interpret this is the black, right, is referring to Krishna, the white to Radharani, or in a broader sense, guru, right? And so the idea is first, so by the grace of Krishna, you get guru, and then by the grace of guru, you get Krishna. So the first connect, and I remember there was the talk that our Gurudev, Srila Govinda Maharaj gave, I think it was in Sokel to be precise, where he made this point, and it was quite surprising to me actually at the time, because we usually hear that the other point, right, that it all starts with Guru. That's what's emphasized so much. But in this talk, Gurudev presented this other idea that he said, actually, the first connection is always with Krishna. The first connection is with Krishna. But then to go deeper into that connection, he sends Guru, right? And so this is it, do you know where it's from in the Upanishads or somewhere, Puranas? I'm not sure.
He also said something like he we need the guidance, you know.
Mm.
The guidance comes from Guru. It's
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
It is.
So we have that first connection with Krishna, but then to bring us into a deeper connection, to give us more serious guidance, he sends us Guru, right? And there are many examples like that, like the story of Dhruva Maharaj, right? He's 5 years old. He's doing austerities, invoking the attention of Lord Narayan. And Lord Narayan is touched by that. And what does he do as a response? He sends Narada Muni, and Narada Muni initiates him. And then Narayan comes and appears to him. So the point is, and to reply to your question, it's not that there's nothing if you're chanting before initiation. That there is a genuine, authentic connection with the Lord in that chanting. But then to go deeper into that, then there will be the connection with Guru when you're actually surrendering to a servant of Krishna. You're surrendering to someone who's beloved to Krishna, which is a very, deeply humble movement to take, right? That I'm showing my deep commitment. I don't need to have a direct one-on-one interface with you, but I have so much depth of appreciation. I'm surrendering to who is already beloved to you, faith, humility, and all these things. And of course, from Guru, as Suvasini said, we're getting specific guidance. But I, as I said, we did discuss this quite extensively in the other meeting, so we'll just have to get that to you. But the simple answer is there is a connection in that first chanting, before initiation. And of course, you may be in a situation where you're not sure, where to take initiation, but simply to have that feeling that I want to take initiation, that's also very valuable. And you can wait to see, where the line of connection comes, right? So that's my simple, brief answer. Yeah. Is there any? Oh, Jai Kumar, we were just mentioning you.
Oh.
This is some of you may know already.
Yeah.
He's very famous, actually.
Hare Krishna.
Jai Kumar.
I'm a small person. Hare Krishna.
Yeah.
Dhanwad.
He's a disciple, for those who don't know him, he's disciple of Srila Govinda Maharaj for many years.
Got some Jagannath Prasadam.
Okay, he came from Jagannath Puri, actually. He's helping prepare for the big pilgrimage that will take place. Oh, thank you very much.
And Kumar is sitting.
Well, you're supposed to honor Jagannath Prasad right away, so. I'm sharing it with all of you.
I'll just say hi to.
Okay.
Hare Krishna, Dhanwad, Pranam, Dhanwad. Sorry to disturb you, everybody.
No. Thank you.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
all
Sorry.
kinds of people showing up here, kinds of Vaishnavas. Okay, well, any other topics from anyone? Robert, is there anything else you'd like to bring up? Or maybe Kirtida? Or anyone else at all?
Dandavat Vishaka, I had a reflection a farmer. He plows the earth before the seed is planted. And when the seed is planted, they grow roots.
Mm.
I thought of that just now.
That is beautiful. I like that very much. I think
Thank
that's
you.
perfect.
Thank you very much.
Perfect. Yeah, thank you for sharing that, Kirti.
Thank you.
That's very nice.
And I've thought about being the observer. And it came to me today that I have learned to be observer of myself and not others, but I can observe how I react and work on myself. I thought about that today. And I thought about the gunas, three gunas and nirguna. And I thought in nirguna, you can use the gunas not for myself, but for Krishna. Is that correct? Receive to give to Krishna, not to myself, receive to myself.
You're saying that can we use the gunas in service to Krishna?
Yes, is that nirguna? Gunas in a different way?
It's a very interesting question. And I mean, I suppose it could be answered in many different ways, but what I would say is that I mean, it really depends actually what exactly, I'm not entirely clear on what you're saying, but I would say that the answer is yes, but depending on how and by who, it will be something quite different, right? So, for example, and you know, this is one stage of our development that we try, and this is discussed by our acharyas in one of our songs that is sung sometimes in our temples, right? It's mentions how we can use everything in service, right? So this is actually what we are trying to do at our stage, right? To channel everything in service to Krishna, right? So let's say, for example, someone may be strongly under the influence of the mode of passion, right? Now, what are the characteristics of the mode of passion? We were just going through this in our Japanese Bhagavad Gita group, right? That last week, in the mode of passion, one always wants to be active, right? Mode of passion is like you've just had a strong cup of espresso. You know, you want to be very active, you want to be busy, you know, you want to do something useful also. You want to make money, you want to, you know, it has a lower end of the spectrum and a higher end of the spectrum. It can mean being very greedy also. But it can have a positive expression. It's just you want to be productive, right? Or you want to make money for something useful. It may not be just for yourself or for a bad cause, but you want to get somewhere and go places and do something, right? So this is an energy that, you know, it's a material energy, but it can be channeled, it can be expressed in a spiritual way, right? This is bhakti yoga, actually. Right? Yoga means that link, right? And so we're in our material condition with all of our material qualities, but we are, you know, we're trying to channel them. So, you know, we like to make music. This is also what's called karma mishra bhakti. It's a mixed stage of devotion, right? There's jnana mishra bhakti, devotion that's mixed with the tendency for renunciation, knowledge, liberation. That's jnana mishra bhakti, right? Then there's karma mishra bhakti, devotion that's mixed with the desire for material achievements, right? Ultimately, what we are striving for is Shuddha Bhakti, right? Pure devotion. But we're not in that stage right now. We aspire for it, we worship it, but we're not there and we can't pretend we're there, right? So we are in this stage where we are encouraged, right? Whatever, you know, and this is also one of the wonderful things about the practice of devotion, that it's very inclusive and accommodating, right? That nothing needs to be rejected, but just connected. So you like to make music for Krishna, right? You like to run businesses, run a business for Krishna, or try to offer some of the results of that for Krishna, right? You like to talk to people about Krishna, you know. So all of these things, you know, we can, or you like to study and read, then read about Krishna. You know, this is the simple idea of it all, right? So yes, I would actually, it's quite I've never heard it framed in the way that you framed it just now, but yeah, it's an interesting angle. You're right, you know. So yeah, one place Srila Sridhar Maharaj also put another interesting angle on this. He described this as the madhyam stage, right? There are these three, we hear, broadly speaking, these three stages of development. Kanishta, which is the most beginner level, madhyam, the middle level, and uttam is the highest level. And in one place, Srila Sridhar Maharaj, he said, this is the madhyam stage, this is the middle stage, where it's like you have all these materialistic tendencies and you can't repress them. Repressing them won't get you anywhere. So rather they need to be channeled, right? They need to be channeled. And in that way, there will be a transformation that will take place, right? What were material qualities will be transformed into something transcendental because of that connection, right? Because of that divine connection. So yes, it is a wonderful thing. Then so that's one way that we can understand one angle of what you've just brought up. But another way you could look at this is that the Paramahamsa may also use the material energy in service to Krishna, but it's from a completely different standpoint, right? Not that they themselves are, entwined with that energy. They're completely transcendental to it, but they will use it, right? To the point where Srila Swami Maharaj Prabhupada, he didn't even speak about the fifth regulative principle, right? We always hear about the four regulative principles, right? No meat eating, no intoxication, no illicit sex, no gambling, right? But in Srimad Bhagavatam, there's a fifth, right? What is that? Many of you know, gold, right? No hoarding of gold. But Srila Prabhupada didn't really mention that one, And our Gurudev commented on once, and he was saying why? Because he wanted to use that in the service of Krishna to run his great mission, that spreading Krishna consciousness. He needs to use wealth for that. And so rather he promoted the idea that we will use wealth and gold in the service of Krishna, right? So this is the standpoint of the Paramahamsa, right? This is the real principle of Krishna consciousness also, that we're not afraid of anything, but rather we're using everything in the service of Krishna. And there's a very nice verse it's by Bilva Mangal Thakur. It's fairly well known. It's in Srila Sridhar Maharaj includes it in Prapana Jivanamrita. And he mentions in this verse, it mentions how Bilva Mangal is expressing, like, if I were a truly great devotee, and he's describing how the beautiful Kaishore, youthful form of the divine couple, Radha Krishna, will appear to me. And he also mentions in that verse that all of the gains of the material world, dharma, artha, kama, moksha, right? Wealth, someone in the waiting, wealth, sense pleasure, liberation, the results of duty, dharma, all of these things will come to serve the devotee, right? All these things will follow behind it. Because they all want to serve Krishna. So they like to follow the great devotees. Our Gurudev mentioned that once. Lakshmi Devi herself likes to support. She likes to serve the devotees of Krishna because she wants her energy to be used in Krishna's service, right? But it mentions there, all of these gains of this world, we normally think of them as material things, wealth, sense, pleasure, but they also want to be engaged in seva. So they're like waiting for the order of the pure devotee, right? And the pure devotee is completely detached from any desire for those things. But if necessary, we'll use them in the service of Krishna, right? It gives this idea in the verse, like they're waiting, like for a call, And Srila Sridhar Maharaj, he said, like in a rich person's house, they have a calling bell. They'll call their servants when needed, So all these things are waiting for orders. The devotee has no interest, but if needed, then they will make the call, right? And they will come. So that is another way to understand that. Maya Devi herself, right? She's the string puller of these three gunas, right? The word gunas it also means rope, right? They're described as ropes that bind us. And Maya Devi, she's the string puller. She herself is a servant of Krishna. She's a great devotee, actually, right? She's doing her seva, so she wants her energy actually to be engaged in the service of Krishna. So one is like whatever stage of devotion we're at, whether we are in our struggling, practitioner stage, a sadhak, or whether we are siddha, perfected soul, the answer is yes, right? That we will use everything in the service of Krishna. So I don't know if that actually answered your question.
Yes, yes, it did. That you are so beautiful, Vishaka. I wonder, do not receive for myself, but give to others. Is that included in the way?
Wait, say that again.
I do not want to receive for myself. In the trigunas, I receive for myself. But when I learn to not receive for myself, but to give back, give to Krishna, give to others, is that a form of nirguna?
Well, it depends what your standpoint is, right? What is your perspective on that? Well, I would say it depends, that, yeah, I mean, I would say it would depend on the situation. That am I trying to serve the senses of others, right? So
Okay.
that Srila Maharaj describes that as extended selfishness, which is a very heavy phrase, actually. It's a heavy statement, but it is the reality, actually.
True, true. Yes, I agree.
that of course it is a step above, right? It's a step above. We're not focused on trying to satisfy our own senses, but we're serving the senses of others. It is a little better, but it's still the same thing in the
Yes.
from the big picture of things. So real service is only that which is in, and I mean, you can also say that's like a step forward, right? That may be a progressive step forward to a higher type of giving, right? It's a beginning, right? But that's not what our goal is, right? But real service must be connected with what is in the interest of our soul and the service of the satisfaction of Krishna, right? That is real service. So, we have this beauty. You've reminded me of this expression, right? Jive doya, right? We hear these three things, right? Nam, Ruchi, Vaishnav Seva, Jive Doya. This is like a Vaishnava expression that summarizes the teachings of Mahaprabhu. Nama Ruchi means to taste the holy name or to serve the holy name. Vaishnav Seva, to serve the Vaishnava saints. And then Jive Doya means to be merciful to other jivas, right? So what is the conception of mercy, right? There are different conceptions of mercy. But now, interestingly, Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur, in one place, and actually Devashish published it. Some of you may have seen that little book, Service Life, that Devashish published, but my favorite part is the section at the back where he has a collection of different important writings, Shikshashtakam, Upadeshamrita, and also some statements from Saraswati Thakur. But one of them is Saraswati Thakur is discussing the principle of Jiva Doya. What is real mercy, right? Real mercy is to, enlighten the souls about their real relationship with Krishna, right? That is true mercy. And he has that famous statement, right? That what is it that you could open a million hospitals, and that is nothing in comparison to enlightening one's soul about their true need, right? And then as I recall, Jiva Himsa. Oh. Okay. Okay. Then Jiva Himsa, this is really interesting. Jiva Himsa, Himsa's violence, right? Jiva, the soul. So what is violence to the jivas? The opposite of jiva-doya, to neglect to preach the principles of pure devotion, he says. To neglect to preach the principles of pure devotion. So this is Saraswati Thakur speaking from his high standpoint, right? So real mercy is to spread the truth. But what truth, right? The absolute truth, not partial truth, or not to make souls more comfortable in their prison, but to give them the key to get out of prison. That is real friendship, right? That is real friendship. That is real love. That is real mercy. So there's another that reminds me of that. There's this very beautiful and very interesting verse, and it's spoken by Swarup Damodar, the close associate of Mahaprabhu. It's recorded in Chaitanya-charitamrta. And then the way it's presented is so extraordinary. It's when, Mahaprabhu's moved to Puri after taking sannyas. And, there's so many layers to this lila. And one layer is like he's moving away from the place of his early pastimes. He's plunging the hearts of his beloved family members, friends, into the ocean of separation, right? But then some of his, fortunate associates are able to follow him, to join him in Puri, right? And so Swarup Damodar, he's of course the number one most intimate associate of Mahaprabhu. He ultimately comes and joins Mahaprabhu in Puri. He's also part of the Navadip group originally, as I recall, or nearby at least. But there's this interim period, he's separated for some time, some period from Mahaprabhu before he joins him in Puri. He stops in Varanasi on the way. I don't know if that's actually on the way, but he went there first. And he actually took sannyas there. And that was another nice point Gurudev made once, that when Mahaprabhu took sannyas, he said all of his associates took sannyas. They all followed him in that. Maybe they didn't technically go into the order of sannyas, but like Rup and Sanatan, the six Goswamis, they're living Babaji. They took Babaji Vesh, living lives of renunciation. They left their family material life behind, and they all followed Mahaprabhu's mode of life, more or less. And so Swarup Damodar, he also went to take sannyas before he joined Mahaprabhu. But he was in so much ecstasy on his way to see Mahaprabhu, he didn't even complete the sannyas ceremony. So he kind of got halfway through the ceremony, and then he just had to go running to Puri. And so he wasn't even given a normal sannyas name, but what's, I think, normally like a brahmachari name, right?
Yes.
So then he finally reaches Mahaprabhu in Puri, falls down at his feet, and they have this ecstatic meeting. Mahaprabhu's saying, "Oh, I'm like a blind man who's had his eyes restored to him," But when Swarup Damodar falls at Mahaprabhu's feet, he has this, as Srila Sridhar Maharaj says very poetically, there's a place where he talks about this meeting. He says very poetically, with this verse on his lips, you remember that, it's very beautiful. He falls down at the feet of Mahaprabhu with this verse on his lips, and that verse, it begins, heloddhunita-khedaya, visadaya. I don't know if you remember more of it. It begins like that. It's an extraordinary, maybe we can actually find it. It has this, what is it called? That it's a poetic kind of echo that plays throughout the verse. I'm gonna look it up right now. And it has this daya that's repeated throughout. Hello, let me see if I can find it. Here we are. Just read it out. So yeah, maybe I'll just preface it before I chant it. You hear this repetition of daya, and there's like a play on meaning and sound here, because this it's used throughout the verse. It's actually stemming from the word udoy, right? Arising, right? So it's speaking about the mercy of Mahaprabhu, how it gives rise to all of these different things, right? Removal of ignorance, awakening of divine knowledge, and so on. So this word udai, which means like udilo aruna, it's the same root.
Rising.
The rising. Like many of you know the song Udilo Aruna, they're referring to the rising sun we sing every morning in our temples. So it's the same root. So, but then there's also the word daya. Daya means mercy, right? So there's like this wonderful play. If I had finished my literature degree, I could probably explain better. But here I'll read this out, this verse, or maybe will you read it, Didi? You read it. Your Sanskrit is much better than mine.
Okay. Listen. Okay. Heloddhunita-khedaya, visadaya, pronmilad-amodaya, samyach-chhastra-vivadaya, rasa-daya, chitarpitonmadaya, sasvad-bhakti-vinodaya, sa-madaya, madhurya-maryadaya, Śrī Chaitanya daya-nidhe, tava bhuyad, amandodaya.
So beautiful, huh?
Yeah.
I'm gonna read that translation.
Of good fortune. So this is the translation. O ocean of mercy, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, let there be an awakening of your auspicious mercy, which easily drives away all kinds of material lamentation by making everything pure and blissful. Indeed, your mercy awakens transcendental bliss and covers all material pleasures. By your auspicious mercy, quarrels and disagreements arising among different scriptures are vanquished. Your auspicious mercy pours forth transcendental mellows and thus causes the heart to jubilate. Your mercy, which is full of joy, always stimulates devotional service and glorifies conjugal love of God. May transcendental bliss be awakened within my heart by your causeless mercy.
Right.
Jai.
So now there is a link to what we were talking about, I promise. So this is very, very cool. And Saraswati Thakur used to preach about this, that so at the end, right, you heard this phrase, amandodaya. That's like the key phrase here. Amandodaya. This word, so the word manda means something that is bad, right? Or how would you?
Dull.
Dull.
Yeah.
Right.
Not very intelligent, dull kind of thing.
Right.
Manda
But it's also expanded to use, it's used like in the sense of something very negative also,
Yeah.
right? Like that.
Yeah.
So then amanda.
Manda is of
text
good
messages,
fortune.
yeah.
Manda is also like bad fortune.
Right. So then yeah, so the word manda is something not good, let's say, in a simple sense. So then the word here is amanda. So amanda is the A is negating it, so it means not bad, right? And then udoy, daya. So let there be an arising. It's a very funny way that it's expressed. The translation here is changed it actually. But what the Sanskrit is literally saying is that your mercy doesn't give anything bad. The way that as I recall, Saraswati Thakur used to say this is non-harm producing mercy.
Yeah.
Non-harm producing mercy. It's a very funny way to say it, right? Because he could just say you know, like, and that's how it was put in the English, because it just kind of flows better, right? That you know, your wonderful mercy, you know, your glorious mercy. But that's not actually what it says here. Your non-bad producing mercy, non-harm producing mercy. It's a very interesting phrase. And this links in directly with Kirtida's point here, right? So think about it. Think of all the different conceptions of mercy and philanthropy, or good, doing good. Actually, they all have some negative effect, ultimately. You cannot avoid it in this world. Even think about the medicine that is produced to help sick people. What type of exploitation, like really, you know, we don't even, we're all like very, you know, innocent, naive people. Like all the dark stuff that goes on in the world, we have no idea. Well, maybe some of you do, but most of us don't. Like, you know, like think about it. Animal testing. How many people have died, right? Because of some you know, like the use of plastic, right? Or the use of so many different materials that we use. Like how many factories exploded when they started using these things and didn't know what they were doing, right? How many animals, how many monkeys had to die or go through all these weird body mutations, right? So that different medicines, which are widely used, could be developed so they're safe, right? There's actually so much nasty stuff that goes behind all the goodness in this world. You can't avoid it, right? And then there's also the after effects, which can also be very negative, right? So that is the unfortunate state of this world, right? That even the good in this world, and then of course, what to speak of the fact that it's not getting to the core of our situation here, that you know we are living in Maya, and we're living in ignorance of the true self. That's the real problem. All these things are just band-aid remedies, right? So anyhow, but what is the nature? This verse is saying, what is the nature of the mercy of Śrī Chaitanya Mahaprabhu? It's pure goodness, beginning, middle, and end, right? There's no bad side effect. There's no bad thing that happened before, you know, there's no bad thing that happens during, right? Now, of course, then we can also think of the side effects that come from taking these medicines, right, that are made in laboratories. So, but what is the nature of this mercy coming from Mahaprabhu, coming from the eternal worlds? It is pure goodness, you know, all the way through. It is pure goodness. There's no bad side effect, right? So non-harm producing mercy, right? That's the current of mercy that we want to try to connect with ourselves and want to try to connect others to as much as possible, right? So interesting point that you brought up. Do you want to say? It's really quite an extraordinary verse, yeah. Heloddhunita-khedaya, visadaya. We actually made another translation. I'm trying to think. Where did we? Maybe it's on Prema Dharma. premadharma.org. There's a more like literal, close, more faithful translation that is really very nice. Let's see if I can find it. Here we go. Okay, it's maybe not even possible to literally translate that to represent that udoy. And maybe it just doesn't work in English. But still, this is a more poetic and concise translation. Your mercy easily dispels distress. Literally, it's saying more like it gives rise to a dispelling of distress, right? But yeah, that sounds awkward in English. It gives rise to purification of the soul, right? Like that, but I'll read it here. Your mercy easily dispels distress, purifies the soul, produces the greatest joy, concludes all scriptural argument, showers rasa, maddens the heart, inspires eternal devotion, produces equanimity, and is the ultimate divine sweetness. O ocean of mercy, Śrī Chaitanya, please bestow your non-harm producing mercy upon me. Our Gurudev, I heard him speak about this verse once, and he made a nice connection with the Chaitanya-charitamrta, the first verse of, there's like a parallel actually, the first verse of Shikshashtakam, right? It's speaking about the different stages in development in chanting the name, right? And you can see the parallel that first there's the clearing of the negative side, right? Dispels distress, purifies the soul, right? Like in the first verse of Shikshashtakam, the cleaning of the mirror, right? The cleaning of the mirror of the heart, and bhava mahadavagni nirvapanam, our entanglement in the cycle of birth and death, that will be cleared, that will be extinguished, and then after the clearing of the negative side, then the pure spiritual experience of joy, rasa, pure devotion, and all these things. So, yeah.
Says concludes all scriptural arguments.
Includes all scriptural argument. I didn't actually finish the verse, did I? Did I? Concludes all scriptural argument. Yeah, I did read it. Showers rasa. Yeah, it's nice, isn't it? Concludes all scriptural argument. Showers rasa. Actually, your brain will just shut down eventually, right? Once you get a touch of that divine substance, then the argument all goes, Then there's no room for any argument. Yeah. There's one recording I heard of Śrīla Sridhar, because the Westerners were always asking so many questions, and there was one occasion he's asking any question, nobody had any questions, it's completely quiet, and Śrīla Sridhar said, "Oh, now you've come to Sharanagati, now you've come to surrender, like no questions, the brain is done, no." Yeah. Many devotees, they experience that, coming in front of Srila Govinda Maharaj, right? So many, I experienced, and so many others, they mention, they also experience that they would have questions, right? They'd want to go and ask him something, but when they went in front of him, it would all just evaporate. Suddenly, it doesn't seem necessary, it doesn't seem important. Chirikar Maharaj, he shared this one very special experience he had with our Gurudev, that he said there was one occasion he was with Srila Govinda Maharaj, and a few other Brazilian devotees were in the room, and Chirikar Maharaj, he asked our Gurudev some technical type of question about something, and Chirikar Maharaj, he said, very frankly, and in his humility, he said that actually I wasn't asking the question from a sincere place. He said, I was asking because I wanted to show off, to the other devotees who were there, that I'm asking this very intelligent question, and so he asked our Gurudev, and our Gurudev just didn't answer, Sometimes Srila Govinda Maharaj could be like that, it was like he wanted to go to a deeper place, like where is your question really coming from, But anyhow, Chirikar Maharaj, he was embarrassed, and he went back to his room, and he was like really going into his heart and feeling, oh, that was so foolish of me, and then why did I do that? And he felt Srila Govinda Maharaj was chastising him, and so then later on in the afternoon, he went back and he apologized. And he said, "Oh, Maharaj, Gurudev, please excuse me for the foolish question that I asked you earlier." And our Gurudev looked at him and he said, "Oh, no, it was a very good question." And then he said, I didn't answer you because you already know the answer. And Shri Kumar is just very surprised. He thought, oh, I already know the answer. And then he said, it was a very extraordinary thing. Like suddenly this whole stream of revelation just started flowing through him. And he said it not only one answer, but multiple answers, like different angles on that question. He didn't maybe he forgot what it was, or he didn't tell me, so I don't know what it was, but suddenly, like all these different angles on how to answer that question, it all just started flooding through his mind, and he was astonished. He felt, oh, like Gurudev's like blessing me with this revelation, with this knowledge. Very, very mystical person, Srila Govinda Maharaj. Yeah. Well, we still have a few minutes left.
Did you have any experience like Gurudev, like this person?
I had so many mystical experiences, but I can't. I wish I had written down, different moments, things come. I remember things in different moments. Last week I told the story of the light switch. I think I told you that.
Yeah.
That was quite mystical because actually even to this day, I'm very bad at like remembering. Yeah, I can be using a room for months and I still don't remember the switches, So that was my little experience of that. Yeah, we talked about that. But the other things, I mean, there are always so many little things that were happening around Srila Govinda Maharaj. But yeah, and unfortunately, I don't have such a great. Sometimes devotees still tell me, "Oh, remember when this happened with Srila Govinda Maharaj?" And I don't remember. It's. I guess I was just so young and running around, like, in the temple trying to do things. I didn't remember things properly. But do you want to share anything like that?
Well, suddenly it doesn't come to my mind too much, actually.
You shared that interesting thing how Srila Govinda Maharaj remembered like a conversation that you'd had, like, was it 15 or 20 years before, and he still remembered it.
Yeah,
yes.
the very first time I met him, and then
That was like 94, right?
94.
In London.
Yeah, it was just I'm new, and we just had some conversation and all that.
That was your first meeting, or one of your first
The
meetings?
first meeting, yeah. And then the very end, he was like, that's the last time I met him, 2009.
It was the very last time.
Very last time.
Wow.
And he remembered that at the first meeting. And that was very nice.
I mean, if you think like Srila Govinda Maharaj, he had like thousands of disciples, but he like used some particular phrase, right? Like referring to that first meeting that you'd had, and it's extraordinary how personal he was.
Yeah, it was very personal, very personal. Yeah, it's amazing. I don't remember so much. One time he asked me, I was just sitting with him, do you have any questions to ask? Like that. And I didn't have any questions. Well, because I wasn't thinking too much. I just just came and just been like that. Not thinking about anything to, ask or thinking about any philosophy or anything. I just came. He said, I don't have anything like that.
Yeah, another interesting thing with the way Gurudev would give instruction is he would adjust his instructions according to time, place, and circumstance. And Subhasini shared with me how that was very striking in her experience, because she was communicating with Gurudev, sometimes meeting him, sometimes communicating through letters, and And at different stages, he gave her different instructions. Like in the beginning, he told you not to preach, right? And then later on, he told you that you should preach now.
Said not like not to preach. It said, he said like, you're a householder, you know, you can translate books like that. You know, he said. But no, because I was asking, you know, like
You wanted to preach.
Well,
You
yeah,
were
at that
thinking
time I
like
was
that,
very
yeah.
young, initially very young and a little enthusiastic to do something. And then that time he said, just translate books like that, he said. At very end, at the, you know, at the probably just a few years before, and at that time I just asked him. At that time, I wasn't expecting anything. Just like that, I asked him, and he said, "You should also preach like that." He said, this, and yeah, that was like after many years later, 10, 15 years later, maybe 12 years later.
Yeah, he was, again, so personal,
Personal,
you
yeah,
know,
very
seeing
personal, yeah.
what's appropriate for everyone, right, at different times.
Exactly, yeah. He understands what, you know, what they can do, what they can't do, and also their situation, you know, all that he has, you know, accordingly he will say, it's, you know, amazing.
When I first went to live in India, that was in 2005, then, you know, I had the idea that you know, because Srila Govinda Maharaj, he would go back and forth between Navadvip and Calcutta. But he would generally spend more time in Calcutta. It was like his office, you could say. And he also liked to be close to the hospitals, and there was all kinds of management things going on behind the scenes, which I didn't even know about. But then he would go time to time throughout the year to visit Navadvip. But so when I first went to live in India, I thought I'm going to help Madhusudana Maharaj, who was Mahananda Prabhu at the time. And the idea was I was like coming to be his secretary, and you know, he was expecting that, I was expecting that, and others, you know, senior devotees, they were also, oh, you know, Mahananda needs help, you know, in the office. People always coming and going, but he needs someone there. And I came in with that idea, but then when I first got, you're in the presence, glorious son of Srila Govinda Maharaj, you don't want to leave, right? And so I really didn't want to go to Navadvip, and meanwhile, you know, Mahan is waiting. There's so much service in the office. And so I asked Guru to Navadvip, and he told me that I could stay with him. You know, there's a festival coming up with Sridhar, you know. Wow, he said to me, and I was 6 days. I'm very important, you know. I could only stay for 3 days. I was only 20, just in 21 at the time, you know. But so that was like about 3 years. Srila Gurudev let me stay with him, and we would go back and forth to Navadvip, Calcutta. And then, of course, sometimes Gurudev would leave for one of his world tours. It wasn't for so long, I don't think, at that time, in those years. So that, you know, that was wonderful. I like, you know, follow the entourage around, and I got to have Shalom Association every day. It was gift and privilege, and periods where he's speaking less according to his health condition. But it was, you know, it was wonderful. And, you know, I'm coming in as a baby. That's what you need, right? You need that intense nourishment. But then finally, it was like around, I think, August, September, or July 2008. Then that was when he kicked me out of the nest. And then he wanted to bring Mahananda to Calcutta, and then he sent me to Navadvip, and you know, it was like he was putting me into the deep end, you know, very, very difficult transition for me. I remember I cried, you know, in the going to Navadvip. But you know, in retrospect, like I'm thinking now about all these different stages, like how he gave me instruction. He was a mastermind, you know, like he wasn't just thinking about right now. He wasn't even thinking what's good 5 years from now. He was thinking for your whole lifetime, what's good for you? What's the right stage of development for you and stage course of action for you, right? So it was so perfect. He let me have that period with him. Then he sent me to Navadvip, which, you know, that ultimately led me to a whole new level of maturity, you know, that, and in the end, that deepened my relationship with him. Because and instead of being like this fangirl, oh, Gurudev, 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 then it became about like what's important to Gurudev, like the service of our Navadvip Ma, the service of Srila Sridhar Maharaj, the service of the devotees there, the service of the deities there. Like these are all the things that were close to his heart. And so I realized like he was pushing me for this growth, you know, in my service life. And it ultimately deepened our relationship. And after Srila Govinda Maharaj left the world, some of his personal servitors actually told me like, oh, you're very lucky because now Gurudev is gone. We've lost everything. Like he was our whole world, but you can continue your service because you have this service connection in Navadvip. And so it really hit me like how merciful he was and how perfect. I mean, for me, the main point here is how perfectly he would take care of his, you know, disciples according to their need, right? According to everyone's need. And so then, you know, and it was also like a new life. Oh, I can continue with my service in Navadvip and feel connected to Srila Govinda Maharaj in that way. So he was such a mastermind. And there were so many other stages in this connection with Srila Govinda Maharaj too, but this is like the heart of it. So, you know, I'm still like unraveling and remembering, you know, like how he, like things are still hitting me, like, oh, like how he told me this, or, you know, how he told me that, you know, like the significance of it, it's still like unraveling, you know, because there was such depth to his instruction and how he guided us. And so, like, he really, you know, he was never acting like in terms of from, you know, like from this material view of running a mission in the most efficient way. Never. He always prioritized the individual, right? And I'd like to give the example of how he turned down this. It was like a $200,000 donation that was being offered to him, and like, it's not necessary, you know, like obviously he could have used that money for something, you know, could have been very useful, but for whatever reason, he felt there was something in the mentality of that devotee that, you know, he wanted to adjust. Like, we're not about the money, you know, that's not what this is about, you know, change your thinking, you know. So really, he always was looking at the individual welfare and need of each and every one of his disciples in a personal way. So we're very fortunate we could have that live experience of such a great Vaishnava.
It brings back to that point in the initial practical guidance. When we started in the beginning, we said about the guidance.
Right,
Brings it
right.
Yeah.
Right, that's right. It's universe light years apart, right? Like what you will read in the scripture and what you will see in the living conduct and living scripture of the Vaishnava,
Yeah,
right?
true. Yeah.
It's light years apart. Because we, you know, the scripture, the Shastra cannot speak to us, you know, we can't have a personal relationship.
Yeah, we need a practical guidance. The Shastra gives some knowledge and guidance, but we need some practical application of that in the lives, and that is so whatever you spoke now is like proves that. Yeah, the practical.
Right, right. Yeah, it's really an extraordinary thing, because, another thing is that, and I've talked about this before, but like in the scripture, we may be given different principles, but then in the Vaishnava, we see what is the mood with which you follow these principles, right? And it's a completely different thing. Because otherwise we can check box, oh yeah, chanting 16 rounds. Oh yeah, waking up, Brahma Muhurta. Like we can do all these things, but we can miss what is the main point, right? Humility, surrender, Trinada, peace, unicha, all these things, right? Which are really at the heart of our practicing life. And these are all the things that we not only hear about, but we will see in the genuine Vaishnava. So yeah. All right. Well, we're just about at the end of our time. Axel joined us as well a little earlier on. Great to have you with us. Oh, it's not Axel, Ananta Shesh, and he took initiation. Axel, he's one of Ananda Krishna's cousins. It's now Ananta Shesh. And Rishabh Banavi, who was Banavi, she took second initiation. Or sorry, they took second initiation. Please forgive me. They took second initiation.
Oh, okay.
From Janardhan Marsh
Oh, I see.
earlier, and then he changed
Okay,
their
yeah.
name as well.
To see.
Yeah. Have you've met before?
Yeah, we met
Yeah.
in London, right? Yeah, we met in London.
Yeah.
Yeah. Sita's daughter.
Sita's child, yeah. Okay.
Yeah, we had one Christmas. I still have the hat you made. I still have it.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Every winter I use it.
Oh, really? Wow.
Thank you.
And Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu, you're in Romania now, right? You're but originally from Ukraine, and
Yes, yeah, we see.
you've met online. You've met
On the
him.
Zoom,
Okay.
yeah, many times.
Okay,
Yeah,
okay.
Nazar, yeah.
You know everyone, okay.
Yeah, we meet on the Zoom.
Right. Of course, you know Kirtida.
Yes.
And Tungarasa is also here. And
Tumara's asked a question.
oh, did she ask a question? I didn't see. What if we are not able to do all these things you have mentioned right now? Oh, what do you mean by that, Tungarasa?
I mean, this what you mentioned now, that to chant 16 rounds, to wake up at the Brahma Muhurta time, and all those.
Well, I mean, personally, I will very rarely, very, very rarely do those things. So. No, I was saying as an advices of scripture, but if we don't have the mood, then they're all useless. Or if we have arrogance about them, that, oh, I'm doing this, I'm doing that, right? But if we have arrogance, then it is useless, right? But through the example of the Vaishnava, we understand that the mood that we're cultivating, the mood of humility, the mood of surrender, the mood of tolerance, respect, all these things, that is actually at the heart of our practice. So yes, obviously, especially in the lifestyles that most of us lead, it's not practical to follow these types of very strict practices, but we may try. But some adjusted version. But at the heart of our practice is actually the mood that is behind. So does that answer your question?
Yes, thank you. Yes,
Okay.
yeah. I will actually. I have one question, but I will maybe write to you later.
Okay,
Maybe
that sounds great.
the next
We can
time
discuss
or
it
something.
next week.
Yeah, maybe, yes. Yeah. Thank you so
Cool.
much. Wonderful. Yeah. Like always.
Oh, next week I'll be in Govardhan. So
Okay.
That'll be exciting. Hopefully the internet will hold up. We'll see about that.
Beautiful.
Okay, well, thank you all so much for your good association. And thank you to Suhasini for being with us
Oh,
tonight.
my pleasure to be here with Sri Shaka, spending some nice few days here. So thank you.
Yeah. Jai Shri Bhakti Sundar Govinda Dev Goswami Maharaj ki jai. All the assembled devotees, sincere seekers ki jai.
Jai.
Shri Harinam Sankirtan ki jai.
Jai.
Jai Gaur Premanande. Haribo, wishing you all an inspired week ahead.